So if you've ever struggled to get the right information when you're doing your job, this is the video for you. We're going to take a look at Beagle, which is an AI assistant to give you reporting right at your fingertips with natural language search and right in the flow of work because it shows up in Teams, chat, channels and meetings. It's award-winning from Microsoft, and we're also going to go through some tips about how you can use it to make your modern workplace or digital transformation a lot easier from normal people doing normal jobs. So stick around until the end for that. We've got new videos on Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365 coming out every Tuesday, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified every time one of those comes out. I'm Gavin Jones, a former transformation manager for a Fortune 500 company, and I help organisations of any size with modern workplace transformations. If you need any help doing that, or you want to find out what's possible, then stick around until the end for some ways we might be able to connect.
Here I'm leading sales for the organization, really leading the expansion.
Currently, I'm the product lead of Beagle. I've been in this space for past 9 years now.
Currently, I'm a senior team lead right now, helping all the developers to push through and build new technologies.
For people that never heard of Beagle, how do you describe it?
Gavin, if I have to describe Beagle in very simplest terms, so let's say we have two kind of platforms right now, right? One is like our BI platforms, another is our chat platform. These two exist in an organization. What we did with Beagle was we merged these two. So we actually brought the analytics platform within the chat platform itself. And that is what Beagle is.
You're literally calling your data virtual analyst to your meeting. You can ask questions in natural language to the bot and they'll go off and find the information. Particularly useful for sales and marketing types of people who have, very frequent weekly, daily meetings, trying to access numbers and make sense of numbers and make more informed decisions with data.
Is there anything people seem to misunderstand about Beagle before they use it or when they're just getting started?
A lot of companies have made pretty big investments with, albeit Power BI or Tableau or something else. And so they want to really sort of understand how does Beagle fit with those investments. This is really helping improve accessibility of their data in a more of a digestible, palatable form. You just get snapshots of data which are the most relevant to you.
Could you show us what Beagle looks like and what people can expect to get when they use it?
So Beagle is just like any other app which is available for you in Microsoft Teams. You just have to go to your app library, select Beagle to interact with. And the interaction could be started in two forms. One is like you can ask Beagle for a menu, and then you can like click on those menu options and get started. Or even like in a natural form, you can just ask Beagle a question and it will reply to you with a pertinent card. So let's say in this particular setup, we all are sitting and reviewing an FMCG company's business performance across different categories. So we start with like very simple set of information, how we are performing in terms of revenue, in terms of value share across the categories we operate in. So looking at this information at first go, we saw that there is something wrong with snacks. We are losing revenue as well as losing share in snacks. So natural instinct, we would want to do a deep dive on that. Now, Beagle allows you to do the deep dive according to like how the conversation is flowing within the meeting in Microsoft Teams itself. So if you want to do a regional deep dive, or let's say you want to go deeper into the product itself, all that can be done on the fly within Microsoft Teams interface itself. You use Beagle filters to get your next set of cards. And this is something which Beagle is generating on the fly for you. It's not that something which is pre-created. So there is a set of very limited analysis which is pre-created, but Beagle gives you far more ability to go deeper on the fly, because in meetings, you don't know which direction it will take, right? Today, for this context set, let's say we are discussing snacks. In some other month, we could be discussing ready-to-eat drinks. Similarly, like the context might change. So the ability to do the filtering within MS Teams itself provides you with that capability to go deeper and find the root cause according to how the flow of meeting is going. So for the example which we were looking at for snacks, When we went down by different regions and looked at which regions are basically dragging us down, we found the East Coast is something where we need to look at, because that's mainly dragging the entire category performance down. Similarly, there are information configured to go deeper within this performance set itself. So you can ask maybe next set of questions, show me lever of share gain loss. So that you would want to know if I'm losing share, let's say in East Coast in snacks, actually like which of the products, why are we losing share, which are the operational levers which are pulling it down.
Mhm.
So those drill downs can also be asked within Beagle. So for example, like we were like going deeper in snacks. Here we find that one of our like top brands, Pringles, the distribution is heavily impacted, and that's the key region for the whole share loss. So likewise, like you can basically from a very top level looking at a top line analysis report to a bottom level where you can actually find something to act on. You can do all those within Beagle. So for the users who mainly want to don't go through this flow again and again, rather want to track just a set of information on an ongoing basis. So let's say there is a Pringles brand manager who wants to keep a track on Pringles performance month on month to see whether the situation is improving or deteriorating. They can just opt for notify me, and they can choose their own frequency, whether they want a weekly notification or a monthly notification. And once that notification is set, they'll get a pop-up on Microsoft Teams, as well as they'll get this card via email at their set frequency. And that's basically like preempting a lot of steps and giving them direct information at a set frequency to keep a track of their performance. Also, is if you want to like collaborate on action points with some of your colleagues. So let's say in this particular case, I want to have collaborate with Pringles team in East Coast as to what are the next actions we should be taking. Now, you don't have to like download this report and send to them over an email. You can do that via narrative board. So you just like click on narrative board, add this particular card to your team, and they'll be able to then see this information as well as comment on it. So that what it does is, first of all, it saves you a lot of to and fro emails. And second of all, it's like a snapshot of data which gets refreshed also month on month. So you don't need to do a special tracking. If the next month's data come in, this data set on the narrative board, it will get refreshed itself. So you have a past month view as well as you have a present month view to track how better or how worse we have gone. Whether the action items which we had defined previous month, they led to any positive results or not.
Yeah, that's great. I remember at my old corporate job, there's like a little side industry in creating reports and then sending them out, getting people to comment on them, and gathering all those comments back, and then getting it to a nice format and making a PowerPoint deck and sending it to the management, and having calls and pre-calls and pre-calls for the pre-calls to see just what was going on. And then now you can just type in exactly what's going on, but then also get people to just comment right in where they're working already. And it seems to take away a lot of that the stuff that everyone hates to do as part of their job, to explain what's gone on. So if you ever struggled with finding reporting, let me know in the comments below. And also let me know what you think about Beagle.
I think it's worth pointing out, one of the things that I was fairly astonished about when I first saw it was, so you can be up and running with Beagle for around about 3 weeks, which is super fast. And that's also, connecting to multiple data sources as well.
And backend also, we have tried to keep it very, very simple for even our power users who will be building the reports. So 3 workbenches where you basically, first is data workbench, where you set up a connection. The connection could be either in form of just uploading an Excel file, or you do an RDBMS connection. You do a set of operations on those connections, like you can look at a set of data, like what exactly is in that table. Do one table to other table mapping, build some metrics over that table, which can then reflect into the report. Then comes the analysis part, where you actually build something which an end user sees, right? So that we are calling virtual analyst workbench. The first step here is like to give it a persona and avatar so that people feel it's something personal. They are not just interacting with a machine. So give it that kind of feel. Then comes the most significant part is in terms of creating those reports. Now, in most of the BI tools, creating reports is a task which takes certain amount of expertise. But within Beagle, what we have done is the whole construct is such that everything is just a mere drag and drop. So a person who knows the data itself, they'll be able to create a report here without having to learn anything new in terms of learning like a DAX query to write in Power BI or like a language which they can code in Tableau. Rather, it's just whole interface based, and all you have to do is like pick a column, pick certain metrics, and drop them on the canvas, and simultaneously your reports start getting created. You can do a set of formatting over here also. You can apply certain filters which you want, all the filters which you want it to be visible to the end user, and then just give your card a new name and save it. The moment you save it and you publish it, the very next moment it will be available for end users to consume. So this whole part of creating the reports as well as making it available to the end users, the turnaround time could be somewhere between just a few hours. So and in normal BI tools, it takes somewhere around 2 to 3 weeks to even get a new report created. While in Beagle, you will be able to do in just a matter of few hours. So that's why when at first I was mentioning that users need a tool which is agile enough to adapt to their changing pace of business. This whole construct of Beagle is in such a way that it provides user that flexibility or that capability to build something new to show to their business stakeholders. So they can relate to data, they can relate to the new analysis which they want, and then take actions based on that.
Yeah, it looks really quick the way that you can just create something and get it out to the guys that presumably not going to be that technical. So if it's akin to sales guys, they're just going to want to type, show me the thing that you've just built, and the fact you can just do it straight away once the analysts sorted it is pretty good, I think.
The fact that there's very little training required, and I think that's one of the big differentiators of Beagle versus a lot of the other tools, which even friend users, I think Abhishek alluded to earlier, it does require, weeks, we're talking days and weeks of training, versus what we have here, where it's very, very intuitive and user friendly, and it just requires very, very light training, and also the way it's been designed is all very native to Microsoft Teams, so it's all going to look very familiar. And I think that's quite important as well.
Is there anything that Beagle did for a client that you maybe didn't expect?
In one of our clients, Beagle is being used for factory managers, which we had never thought of. So they're using Beagle to give a defects report to their factory managers, people who are actually managing the manufacturing lines, so that they can control the defects on a real-time basis and keep it below the threshold which is set by the company.
So, for example, this narrative board that we talk about, it's a big feature now in Beagle. How it came about was that, one of our clients said, like we're seeing this card, but we want an option to download it. There's no download button in that card that we're seeing. So we thought about it. We said, okay, we can give a download button. It's not a big thing. But then we thought about it, what they're going to do with that downloaded data. What they're going to do is they're going to download it and put it on the mail, right? And the data will now be inside the mail trail somewhere. And the next weekly meeting, they'll be looking out, what were the comments, what decision did we make out of that? Basically, they want to go back to their traditional way of working, right? And if we are going to do a new feature, we want to make it better, right? We want to move forward, not just go back to the traditional way and have a new tool that does basically the same thing. So there's a bit of behavior change that we want to bring in the organization itself, right? So don't stick to the mail, put the data where it belongs. So we created a specific space called narrative board. You add your comments over there. You can see all your data. It gets auto refreshed. You don't have to go around to a mail again.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, if you did everything that everyone asked for, you'd end up with like an absolute monster, wouldn't you? Because a lot of times they don't realize why they need it.
Yeah, we try to understand that, what you're already doing is actually inefficient. So we have to drive them to, use the new method, which are more efficient.
After seeing a lot of organizations use Beagle, what's your best tip for making a better workplace for employees?
So there's a distance between, let's say, the executives who are going to make the decisions, or like who are spinning up new ideas and want to see if that's going to work or not. So they need access to data that supports their claims or hypotheses. Now, in order to get that, the bridge is pretty big right now. So they say, okay, this is what I want to do. And they'll go to the IT team and they'll say, okay, now wait for a month or maybe 2 months, right? We'll build a report over it. We'll give you a dashboard. Then you think over it, right? So, I mean, time to action is just like then is pretty long, right? And that's something that we want to reduce, right? So if you have something hypothesis that you want to try out, or you're debugging some issue in your organization, something in any part in any department, you want the access to data and also the insights. And that's the bridge that we need to narrow down. And that's exactly what we want to do in Beagle, right? We don't want to write another tool. We'll say, okay, we're going to give it as just you can ask questions in natural language, and you don't have to go to another tool itself. You just do it in Teams itself. So like you're conversing with your colleague, like give me this data, instead of asking that particular person, just ask it with Beagle, right? And get the data and get your stuff done. So yeah, that's what I think every organization needs to do, is to bridge that gap. And I think our product does that pretty well.
Well, as someone that used to work in finance, that used to be the end point of some random senior executive's whim. It's like, oh, can you just have a look at so-and-so? And it like goes all the way down the tree. It's like you don't have a report, yeah. IT can't make it. The guy that does the reporting is going to take 2 months, and then it falls to like the lowest person in finance. Like, well, can you just like knock something up in Excel? And that's usually why everything ends up in Excel in a big organization, because like it's just so slow to change stuff. So if all Beagle did was just give like the sales director's whims, you can just ask Beagle instead of asking all the way down the tree. I think that'd be a massive benefit, especially for the junior finance analyst in the world.
I think, as Hitesh said, and as you alluded to, Gavin, it lends itself to much more rapid and agile decision making. We're trying to help IT deliver a lot quicker without compromising on whatever their strategies are around other data tools. So this is kind of seamlessly integrated, as Hitesh said, into the Teams environment. So they're not having to dip in and out of different applications to get the information that they need.
And what's the best compliment you've ever received about Beagle?
The validation that we've had, has actually come from Microsoft themselves. So we just won this award back in April on a Microsoft Teams hackathon. So I think there was over 1,000 participants in that competition, and we secured gold place as the best Microsoft Teams productivity tool. So that's a great accolade and a great endorsement.
No, I mean, yeah, that was quite a moment for the entire dev team and the product team, having that, winning that competition. And it was a global one, right? It wasn't the domestic one either. And it was just a brilliant feeling to have that, we are in the right track.
How can organizations use Beagle to help with like a modern workplace transformation, or just getting more into modern working?
Just take the example of MS Teams. It's capable of doing so many things, but primarily how it is being used is just for either chatting or maybe sharing a file with someone, and that's it. The evolution of modern workplace needs to happen, that rather than just portraying it as a very nice messaging and tool for having video calls, having meetings. You bring actually your action points also here, the things on which generally you act within those meetings. So you bring that data and analytics in the app itself.
I think also the natural language queries is super valuable as well. With myself, predominantly from a sales background, we like things pretty laid out for us and pretty simple. I'm sure other salespeople would relate to that. So you don't need to be technical either to access this analytics hub, as Abhishek put it. So I think that's really powerful. I think one of the things that we didn't really quite touch upon is, so if, for example, you have a consumer goods company or any company selling a product, and they're about to attend a sales call at a store or with a client, you can actually, through WhatsApp, access your Beagle as well and ask it questions pretty much on the fly, just almost as a prep before you go into that meeting. I think that's super powerful as well. And being able to have those more informed, intelligent conversations and moving that sales call from a transactional sales call to more of a consultative approach because you have data, I think that's incredibly powerful.
And where should people go if they want to find out more information about Beagle? Or even if they're ready to sign up and get started straight away, what's the best next step for them?
There's a couple of ways. They can contact you, Gavin, and you can put us in touch with them, or they can reach us through the website through a contact us form at beagleanalytics.ai. So we'd be happy to get in touch.
So we've just been through how Beagle can fit into a modern workplace strategy. If you need help with that strategy, then probably the best next step is to book on a free strategy call with me using the link in the description below. So if you want any more details on Beagle, there's a link in the description below. You can go to their website or contact me in a DM on one of my social channels. There's links to those in the description below, and I'll be sure to pass you on to the right person. If you do go directly to the Beagle guys from their website, then please make sure to mention me time when you chat to them. So check out these videos next, and if you like this video, remember to give it a thumbs up before you leave, click the subscribe and the bell icon before you go, and if you really like the video, consider buying me a beer using the link in the description below. It really does help support the channel and keep free content coming out on YouTube. Thanks for watching so far, and I'll see you in the next video.